Today, I'm going off script. I'm sharing a behind-the-scenes look at exactly how I'm planning my travels while staying consistent on the Wahls Protocol. So I'm sharing everything from what I plan on eating, especially during group dinners with a pre-fixed menu, to how I handle the social pressure and judgment from others who don't understand the Wahls Protocol, and in some cases, don't even know about my diagnosis either, as well as how to deal with feeling left out or deprived when others around you are indulging in all the local treats that you can't partake in. This, my friend, is a do not miss episode. And my friend, if you want a more personalized approach to creating your MS diet and lifestyle, check out my private coaching program. It includes a comprehensive assessment, personalized strategies, and lifestyle support. Each month, I accept only 3 new clients. So if you are interested, apply at alenebrennan.com/coach. Now on to today's episode. There are 1 million people diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the US. So that makes you 1 in a million. And you have a special purpose in this world that no diagnosis can take away from you. So if you are ready to reclaim your body, mind, and life from multiple sclerosis, welcome to my MS podcast. I'm your host, Alene Brennan. Hello, my friend. I am so excited for this episode. This is going to be a juicy one. And as I said in the intro, I'm going completely off script, so we'll see where it goes. But I am traveling next week, and I'll admit I'm a little uneasy about it because I haven't traveled a lot much since my daughter's been born. I did one trip to New York when she was about 1 year old. So this is 1 year since then. And it's for a conference that I'll be attending with other women business owners. So there are 3 days of conferences and 4 nights of events, ranging from like casual happy hours to like organized dinners. And as I mentioned, even some pre-fixed dinners or prefixed menus rather. And that's a little stressful. That's a little stressful when you're talking about following a specific diet, because you're not even handed a menu of things that you can select from. It's here's what is being served for dinner tonight. So my goal for this event is really building relationships and feel good throughout the event so I have the energy to participate in everything. That is my goal. I want to have the health and energy to participate in all of the activities so I can build some really good relationships while I'm there. And I remind myself of this because it's so important to set the tone early that this trip, it's not about food. It's not. If I'm going into this trip already feeling disappointed and left out and deprived, then I'm not setting the right tone here. But it doesn't mean that it's not hard already seeing the messages fly around the group chat about where everyone is going to be meeting up for dinner on Wednesday night, because that's our one free night. And they have already suggested like some great local pizza spots. And I love pizza. And I miss it. It's one of the foods that I've struggled the most with to eliminate the Wahls Protocol. Now, I've found some pretty close alternatives, but there's something about sitting around a table with some friends and having pizza pies delivered right to your table there, and you're just holding up your plate for that next like cheesy slice to be put on your plate to eat. That is what I would love to do. I would love to do that. And then afterwards, I'd love to debate with all of the people that I'm sitting with on which variety was the best. Was it the margarita? Was it the sausage? Was it the cheese? Was it, I don't know, was it the cheese and was it the white pie with broccoli? I'd love to experience that. And especially if they're talking about some really good local spots too. Like, yes, I want in on that. And it stings when I see that because I know I can't participate in that. But I also know nothing tastes as good as being healthy feels. Nothing tastes as good as being healthy feels. So as I'm planning for these travels, I was sharing some of the strategies that I'm using with my clients that I work one-on-one with. And I wanted to share them with you as well, because I know this is something that so many people struggle with. And especially as we're coming into summertime, when vacations are being planned, or there's just different events, like this is a season of weddings and graduations and all kinds of things. So it may be applicable whether you are going on a vacation, whether it's for work or pleasure, or just attending some upcoming events that are going to revolve around meals and food. Now, I'll be staying at a hotel where the event is being hosted. That was one thing that I really tried to be intentional with doing, like booking my hotel room early so that I had a room in the room block. This was really important to me because then I'm not wasting time and energy traveling to and from the hotel where the event is at because I'm staying at a different location. I wanted to stay in that hotel. So now it's just a short elevator ride up and down from my room to the conference room. And I can do that if I need a nap, if I need just to step away from everybody for a moment, or if I want to grab something to eat that's not available, but I have back in my room. So let me first by kind of like doing a rundown of what I'm thinking from a food perspective. First, breakfast is not included. So we're on our own for breakfast. And that's, of course, like one of the hardest meals to eat out when you've eliminated gluten, dairy, and eggs. Those are like the foundational ingredients in all breakfast options. So I'm in the process right now of calling the hotel. I don't know why I've had such a hard time getting through, but I have. But I'm going to connect with the hotel and discuss their room service menu with them. My typical go-to room service meals are grilled chicken, sauteed spinach, some bacon, and maybe some fruit. This tends to be pretty easy for breakfast. Just the biggest question is whether or not the kitchen will have chicken breast available in the morning. But typically, if you call them ahead of time, they may be able to set one aside for you or whatever. But the bacon, obviously, they have that ready for the morning. The sauteed spinach, they tend to have that available because most people will ask, or many people will ask for that in an omelet. And fruit, that's definitely a common breakfast side. So that kind of allows me to piece together a pretty substantial and compliant breakfast. So that's going to be my option for room service. Again, I'm just trying to get a hold of the hotel beforehand so that I can discuss it with them. I also looked online to scout out like a local smoothie spot, and I just searched the name of the town that I'm in and smoothies, and one smoothie spot came up. I don't exactly know how far it is from the hotel, so like just the little details that you have to figure out beforehand. But what I'm doing is I have a notes app on my phone that I'm putting all of these things in, and I'm categorizing it like breakfast. Okay, here's the name of the smoothie spot. Here's the link to the website. Here's the phone number, here's the address, so that it's easier for me in the moment. But I called them ahead of time and I wanted to find out what non-dairy milk options they have. And it turns out they don't use milk at all in their smoothies. They just use water and ice. So they're naturally dairy-free. And I also, total win here, I noticed that they had vital proteins, collagen peptides as something to like boost your smoothie. So I can add that in as well. So that's another breakfast option. I don't know exactly, again, how close it is to the hotel, but worst case scenario, I take a quick Uber ride over if I need to. And really, I say it as breakfast, but that could also be like a nice snack. If I need a substitute for lunch or if I need a substantial snack, like that's a great thing that I can just grab and go. They also have acai bowls, which are delicious. So that's another option for me. And then lastly, just to bring something that I know I can have on hand with me, I like the Bobo bars. They're usually in the aisle with all of the other like protein bars and stuff. They're a gluten-free oat bar. So they are grain-based, but they're gluten-free and they're extremely filling. They're extremely filling. They're allergy friendly, so it's just great in a pinch. And I can have this maybe like 2 days and I would be fine. I couldn't have them every single day because then they start to like irritate my stomach. I just don't feel as well. My stomach just feels a little bit more bloated and I don't know, I just don't feel as good. But I can use 1 or 2 in a pinch, so that's fine. So that makes me feel like I have breakfast covered. I could do room service, I could hit up the smoothie spot, or I could do one of the Bobo bars. I also could grab the Paleo Valley sticks. They have the beef, venison. They just came out with like chicken and turkey and all kinds of different ones. So That alone wouldn't be substantial enough, but if I had that and, like a side of fruit or something like that. So that's breakfast. Lunch is being ordered by the organizer of the event, which is always like, excellent, dream come true. Somebody else is controlling the menu and I don't even have access to the chef or manager. However, I totally feel like I hit the jackpot because the organizer has been so kind. And part of the things that have helped to pave that relationship was I reached out to her well in advance. I'm not springing this on her at the last minute. If you have ever planned a major event, if you've planned a wedding, then you know, like it is that level of detail and that level of intensity. The week before is chaos. It's organized chaos, but it's chaos. So I didn't wait till the week before to reach out to her. When I first signed up for the conference, I reached out to her then, and that was like months in advance. And I just wanted to get on her radar. I said, listen, just want to let you know, I'm excited. I'm registered for the event. I just want to let you know that I do have some food allergies. So let me know when you're planning the menu so that I can just discuss some of those allergies with you. So reaching out in advance really sets the tone for you to be taken seriously. If you are reaching out in advance, they know that this is something that is important to you and this is not something that you're just showing up unannounced at the event. There's too much going on at that point. And honestly, the decisions are made. There's not really a whole lot of room for finding alternatives at that point. So reach out nice and early. I actually reached out so early. She didn't have the menu set yet. However, it put it on her radar. And then it was last week that she sent a message out to the group of, these are some of the restaurants that we're going to in the evening. She didn't really mention too much about the lunch. So I followed up with her and she shared the menu that they're going to be serving through the hotel restaurant. Honestly, I looked at it and it's really like, my only option is a salad and it didn't look that substantial. So my focus is really just making sure that I have enough because I don't want to go hungry because then that doesn't feel very good. But she did mention that she may be ordering another guest meal from a different restaurant for kosher purposes. So she shared that menu with me and that looks like it has so many more options. Now this is really, really rare. I have not had this in all of the years that I have been on the Wahls Protocol and even the allergies that I had before that. I've never had somebody say yes, we're organizing a massive event here. And if you wanted to order from this restaurant down the street, we're happy to coordinate that for you. That's somebody who's just going above and beyond, but I really appreciate it. So you don't know when those opportunities are going to come up until you ask. So I did look at that other menu. And again, they did look like they had some really good options. So I at least feel like if I'm ordering off of the hotel restaurant menu, then it's a garden salad with some grilled chicken on top. If I go to the other place, it looks like they have a plate of grilled veggies that you can get with a side of rice or spinach, something along those lines. So we'll see how that plays out. P.S. I do plan on doing a follow-up to this. So this is part one, my planning, and then I'll do a follow-up of part two of rehashing. Here's actually what went down. So that's my kind of plan for breakfast and lunch. Now dinner is the trickier and more time-consuming one because we're doing group dinners at different restaurants each night. So the organizer had shared the restaurant of where we're going, which they look fantastic. I wish I could just eat whatever I wanted off the menu. I'd love to have free reign on it all. But again, nothing tastes as good as being healthy feels. And I want to make sure that my diet is supporting my health and my energy to show up to all of these events this week. And I'll also be honest, I can't burn myself out at the event. I need to make sure that I have the energy to travel home too. So I've reached out to each of the restaurants on non-service hours. Don't call during the lunch and dinner hours. You're not going to get a good response. I called during non-service hours and I've asked to speak with the manager or the chef. And I explained that I'm coming in with a group next week. I have some food allergies, so I just wanted to discuss the menu. They were both very accommodating. And I will say I try to make the process as easy as possible on them. And I also have very low expectations. I don't go in being so excited about what I'm going to eat then. I am going because I'm excited to spend time with the people that I'm going to be dining with. And I just want food on my plate. I just want to have something on my plate in front of me that allows me to satisfy my hunger and just feel like I'm participating in a meal. I don't care. I really don't care what it is. Again, I would love to have all of the delicious things, but my just mindset really shifted away from the food and really on the people that I'm spending the time with. So I was able to contact the restaurant, ask about the oils that they use, ask about, different things of being gluten, dairy, soy, nut, and egg free. If you've heard me say that list before, that's my personal list. The eggs and the soy are allergies that I know I have. The nuts trigger migraines, and then the dairy and the gluten are from a leaky gut and MS perspective. So I've called the restaurants ahead of time that we're having the group dinners with. I've also connected personally with the organizer because she does have a event coordinator at the restaurant. So she's run all of the allergies through them as well. So I feel good about that. And then for Wednesday night, that's going to be tricky because that's like our free night where everyone just kind of can go on their own. And the organizers had suggested that there's a lot of good local pizza spots, and they recommended their top 3 in the area to check out. Now, I've called all of them and only one has a gluten-free crust, and I haven't been able to get through to know if it's one that I can actually have, but at least I know I can get a salad at one of them. It may be a boring salad, but it is a salad. It's something on my plate. It's not going to be the hot pizza. I would love the ooey gooey cheesy pizza. It's not going to be that. It's going to most likely be a boring bland salad, but nothing tastes as good as being healthy feels. Can you tell that this is my mantra that I'm prepping myself with throughout this whole thing? My goal for this event is to build relationships, not indulge on food. So I feel like I will have something to eat for each meal. And like I said, I'm also trying to get through to the hotel to see not only, what their room service menu is, because I could always, have that as a backup. I could order something before we all go out for the pizza night. So that way I'm not hungry. I have some substance in me before I go. And then I just pick at the salad, once we're at the table. But I also want to ask them if there's a local grocery store or market that I could stop at, because then I might be able to pick up some things from there. So that's kind of my rundown of what I'm planning from a food perspective. Now let's dive into kind of more of the real side of the emotions behind the social pressures, the potential judgments, and feeling left out and or deprived. So first, let's start with the social pressures and judgments. Let's keep it real. It's not easy to have a separate diet than everybody else when you are sitting around a table, because eating is a very communal experience. It's a shared experience, and it's fun to have that together. So it doesn't feel good when other people are kind of giving you that peculiar eye on oh, what are you eating? Kind of oh, you're that person that gets a salad, or you're that person that has the chicken and the vegetables while I'm over here having the ooey gooey pizza or pasta or whatever it is. I've learned to let that go because number one, I don't care what other people think when I know this is something that I need to do to manage my health. Because what do I care if what other people think is if I were to kind of cave to that pressure and eat what they think that I should be eating, I know the reality of that. I will be shut down. I will not be able to participate in any of the other activities. And that's no. No is the answer to that. And I've shared many times before, my daughter is my why. I don't know the risk of what eating one meal that has gluten and dairy and all these other things, stayed so committed to eliminating over the years. I don't know what the long-term effect is of that. And I will not cave to a social pressure and then come home and face my daughter without the health that I know I could have. But it was just, I felt pressured, or I didn't want to inconvenience somebody to get the food that I needed. No is the answer. No. That's what I say for you too. No, don't cave to the social pressures. I love the saying, this has nothing to do from a food perspective, but it is relevant in this conversation. What other people think of me is none of my business. What other people think of you is none of your business. So it doesn't matter. Don't tell yourself a story of what they're thinking or any judgments they're making about you and your food. You do what you need to do to manage your health. And if somebody is not supportive of that, I question them. I question them more than I'm questioning my own food, because who are you to say what I should and shouldn't be eating when I know that this is something that is helping me to manage an incurable chronic illness? Like, I'm sorry, I don't have time for this. And I say this because clearly, I'm passionate about it. However, I've never, in all honesty, ever had somebody come up and been that judgmental or pressured me into eating something. And I think that's because I shut it down. I don't give them the space. I don't give them the runway to pressure me. I stand firm. If I stand firm in what I'm eating and what I'm not, and I deflect the conversation after that. I don't sit here and say, oh, well, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to avoid gluten, or I'm trying to do this. No, if you're trying to do something, that means that you're not fully committed. So whether you are fully committed or not, don't use that word, because that gives somebody else permission to start influencing, or I shouldn't say it gives somebody else permission. It opens the door for somebody to start thinking that they can influence your decision. It's a very different phrase when you say, I don't eat gluten versus I'm trying to avoid gluten. If you want to minimize the pressure and judgment, use the term, I don't eat gluten. Oh, why don't you eat gluten? Because it's something that has made a big difference for me in managing my health. So do you know where we're going afterwards tonight? Like, completely shift the conversation. If you don't want the questions to continue, shift the conversation. If you want the conversation to continue, then you can leave the door open. It depends upon who the person is. Sometimes I don't mind because I'm a nutrition coach and I enjoy talking about it. And if that can help to plant the seed for somebody else to start feeling better based on their choices, great. But I'm also aware that if I'm having this conversation at a dinner table and people have just ordered their meal, most often people are worried that you are judging them. They think that you are sitting higher because you've chosen the healthy meal and they've chosen the more indulgent meal, and then they start to feel guilty for that. So just be mindful that there's a lot of emotion wrapped around food, but what other people think of you is none of your business. Choose words like, I don't eat gluten, or I'm gluten-free, or whatever it is, not I'm trying to. Say it with conviction, and then deflect to something else. So that's what has helped me with kind of managing judgment and social pressures. Now, the other side to it is also very real and raw, feeling a little left out. Like, I can say all of those things and I believe them and I stand strong in them. And there is also that moment when all of the meals are being passed around and you can't help but look and see and smell and hear all of the, oh, that looks so good. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't wait. Or the first bite and they're like, this is amazing. That's hard. That is hard. And it's hard not to have the thought of, oh, well, I don't get to have that because I have MS or whatever your autoimmune condition is. Like, not only do I have to deal with this incurable chronic illness that feels like it just disrupts my life, but I also don't get to indulge in good food anymore. I have to eat the bland and boring food. If that's the soundtrack that's going through your mind, that's not a helpful one. So one of the things that we know about thoughts is the more you think them, the more you will believe them. They don't have to be true. The more you think them, the more true they become to you. So this is where that phrase that I was saying before, nothing tastes as good as being healthy feels. And I also try to acknowledge my emotion in that moment. Like, yeah, this sucks. It does. I want to be eating whatever everyone else is eating. I want to be able to order whatever I want off of a menu. I want that. However, I got this diagnosis. I didn't choose it. I didn't do anything to bring it on. This is the deck of cards that I got dealt and I have to play them. So I can choose to then let this be an emotional game for me and pull me down, or I can look at it and say, okay, yeah, I would love to have them. And in this moment, this is hard. But this is what resilience is. I know that I have my invisible army around me. That is all of you. And I am your invisible army for you. All of us are. We are a community together. We travel in a pack. And even though you may be the only one sitting at that table who's following the Wahls Protocol or who is eating gluten-free or dairy-free or all of the above, you imagine that you have your invisible army all around you who are cheering you on and supporting you in the decisions that you are making. And I can tell you, you never regret eating the healthy options because afterwards you feel good. And here's the most rewarding part. When everyone gets up from the table and they're like, oh gosh, oh, I'm so full. Oh, I feel disgusting. Oh, I just want to go home and get my sweatpants. And you're like, interesting. I feel kind of good. I keep that thought to myself though. And the other part of it, I really do try to focus beyond the food. I really try to focus on the relationships and the people that I am around. So here's the thing, because I have done all of this planning ahead of time, when I show up next week, I don't have to think about a single meal. All of it is planned out. And that feels really nice. So I'm choosing to focus on the relationships that I want to build there. And this also applies if I'm like going on vacation with my family. I will look at the menus ahead of time. I will have it all planned out. And then when I'm there, I get to sit and like look at the person in their eyes. I'm not distracted about like looking at what other people are eating at the other tables or looking at the menu or talking with the server. I get to be present. And even if the other people around the table are looking at the menu at that point, I get to look around at the scenery. And if it's a vacation and I'm looking out at like a tropical like environment, yes, please. Or if I'm listening to some great music, 100%. Or if it's a girls' weekend and I just get to be with my girls, yes, like this takes your time and attention off the food and shifts it to the relationships that you are building. And that in and of itself is such a gift. It is such a gift. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to your health goals because again, nothing tastes as good as being healthy feels. So as I shared, this is just part one of planning my travels while staying consistent on the Wahls Protocol. This is where I've gotten so far. I'm recording this on a Tuesday. I'm leaving the following Monday for it. So I'm sure there will be some, more travels that I'm doing. I'm sure there will be some hiccups along the way that come up, and that's okay too. But I will do a part 2 of this podcast where I kind of rehash how everything went down. So we can include that part in as well. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope that you took at least like one nugget of information or inspiration from that. This is a wrap. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be back next week. Well, my friend, we've reached the end of this episode. Pick one lesson from today's discussion and put it into action now. It's time to reclaim your body, mind, and life from multiple sclerosis. And for more resources, events, and programs, head over to alenebrennan.com. See you on the next episode of my MS podcast.